Ah, Snowdin, one of the biggest parts of the build, with each block meticulously placed to give this handcrafted look, with hours and hours of effort spent into creating each singular mountain, with hundreds of thousands of stone blocks placed in order to give it the most authentic feel possible. Thank God I'm getting rid of all of these mountains. We're building Undertale in Minecraft on a giant scale. And today, let's talk about Snowdin. So yes, this is Snowdin, or at least what's meant to be Snowdin. As we can see here, we've got the typical exit from the ruins and what's meant to be the surrounding trees that you see in game as you follow along. Got the bridge, which leads you to the whole interaction with the lamp and everything. All the puzzles with the Metaton, the randomized thing, the ice bridge puzzle, and if we keep going, eventually, Snowdin Town. And look, I love how Snowdin's turning out already. I think some of the mountains are really coming along nicely. We've got this wonderful looking landscape that, once it's all finished, it is going to look really incredible. It kind of suffers the same issue that the ruins does, in that 90% of the mountains were built 5 years ago. See, I love the shape of these mountains, but there is a very different detailing going on between the ones built in 2020 and the ones built in 2024. The rough shaping is the same. We've got the main spiky biome in the middle with the more rounded edges at the sides, which is hopefully going to end up bleeding into the roof. But I think our level of detailing and standards for building have gone up substantially since we started this project. Not only is the one main bit that's actually completed completely redundant now detailing wise, but there's so many different ways that we actually approach building the shapes themselves that while the middle part doesn't look that different, the moment you hit the outer edges of Snowdin, you get these mountains that, while they're big and impressive, realistically, they're just really terribly designed. And look, I get to say that because I built them, which means I'm only throwing shade at myself. There's a whole bit we have going that I am very good at printing world edit shaped buildings, and you can tell because look how smooth it is. I think it looks alright as a background thing, but trying to put snow on all the sides of the mountains and stuff when there's no ledges in the shape, no variation in any of anything. It's an absolute nightmare to detail, which is what we tried to fix in the more recent things we've built. Because with the sort of spiky designs, you've got plenty of little opportunities to have more snow blocks piling down the side of the cliff, with more snow piling at the bottom once it falls down, archways and things, and you could add just different colour variations and everything. Like, there's a lot of opportunities to add that extra pop and vibrance, despite them all being grey blocks. But when you've got an extremely flat cliff like this, it's extremely difficult to add that extra, you know, colour, because normally you'd add a bit of colour below the edges and little dents of shape and everything that really make everything pop out. But there isn't any of that here. So what do you do? And that is why there's all these X's on all these mountains, because while it is a lot of work that's been put into them, like, it's not like I didn't spend a ton of time on it, realistically, it can just get built so much better if we redid it, and considering how big the build is now, we may as well go and make it a good build. It'll be worth it, trust me. It's not going to take as long as it has, because we actually roughly know what we're doing now, but you'll have to bear with us as these mountains slowly just completely transform as the months go by. Now you can actually see in more recent times, Squid has been working on a lot of new shapes and things to build the Snowdin Mountains out of, which not only blends the middle part of Snowdin really well, but it also gives us an opportunity to blend it into the roof really smoothly. And the big catch of all, which is the best part about them, is that there's plenty different bits to add different detail and everything, which we wouldn't really get from designs like that. Because now with all these different interesting shapes, I can add snow piling down here, I can add more shaded parts underneath this bit, and it's just a much more interesting shape overall. Let's be honest, when we're looking at down below, this is far more impressive than that. Like, they're just not comparable. But in the meantime, how about we go talk about Snowdin Town? This is not zooming in on my face. Oh, also, since the old mapping I just showcased, we have extended the entirety of Snowdin by about I think roughly 200 to 300 blocks. Now we've actually got room for a bunch of the puzzles, like the papyrus things and all that. Not much changes really, but it just gives us a bunch more room to work with so we can properly detail it, especially with the new terraforming techniques. Let's talk about Snowdin, because wow, has it changed a lot. As everyone probably saw from the trailer, there is actually a floor in Snowdin. You know, for the most part, Snowdin Town is basically completed. We've got our pathway, we've got all the different buildings that is canon to the game. Obviously, we've got to throw in the extra houses and stuff on the sides, because while we have got all the canon areas in the game, there is this entire back piece that we need to build. And of course, we've got the little detail of the golden flowers representing a save point, as per usual. I think you can really notice the difference in the mountain detailing once you get to ones like this. Okay, while it's not my best work in bits like that, I do think overall the detailing on these Snowdin mountains are a lot better than the original ones. And this is a result of what happens when you try to detail a flat edge. Look, I had a trailer to make, I just had to detail it roughly. I mean, it's not terrible, but like, there's just not really much sense to it. It's kind of just fake shapes to make it look like the mountain's more shaped than it actually is, because once you get close, it is just a flat wall. Like, there is no real depth here, so it doesn't look that interesting. You know, we're getting there. We are getting to the point that we can properly build the area and have it basically complete, but we're not quite there yet. We've still got a bit to go. But yeah, there's not actually that much to talk about Snowdin Town-wise, other than the fact, hey look, we've got a floor now. How about we jump to talking about Waterfall in the next video, because I want to update everyone on the main parts that have been worked on since, and Waterfall is the natural progression. Man, is there a lot to talk about in Waterfall.